I make $500 a day with an extremely easy business model that can make even beginners $15,000 a month. It's called drop servicing, and I'm about to show you the 3-step process to starting, growing, and making money with this business model. Because once you understand how it works, you'll be able to copy me and start making money from the comfort of your own home, only working an hour a day. Just like I have, where I've made over $500,000 in my first year doing this, without any previous experience, skills, or genius level IQ. Let's dive in. I want to break down the structure of this business model so you can go from working a 9-to-5 job to making $15,000 a month online. And this can all be done in less than 90 days. To quickly summarize this business model, you're essentially a middleman or a broker. You find leads for a service, you close those leads, you get another company to service the clients for you, and your profit is the money the client paid you for the service minus the money you paid the other company to get the work done. My goal now is to create an easy path for aspiring entrepreneurs so they don't lose all their money or get stuck in the rat race they can't escape. You are a middleman, but you can't operate this business in any industry. It's a very limited business model and it works with a few certain industries. So let me tell you a story about that. I was a 20-year-old entrepreneur sitting in his bedroom trying to give entrepreneurship another shot. I had already created this drop servicing theory in my head. It was just a matter of how everything was going to work. Get clients, pass it off to another company for cheap, keep the profit for myself. At this point, it was just a matter of executing, taking action, and bringing this idea to life. I started my first week by researching the different type of niches or industry this kind of business model would work in. I knew it had to be a subscription service. This was the only way that was going to make this business model truly passive income for me. To me, it wasn't worth signing up a few clients every single day. It was better off just get 100 people signed up, and then I can sit back, enjoy the income, and take life one day at a time. I also knew that this service had to be an in-person service because this was going to make it so much easier to actually secure clients. In-person services have a real demand. People actually go out and look for these in-person services. Something like, electrical services, roofing, cleaning, things like that. It's not like e-commerce where you kind of have to create the demand for your own product, or an SMMA agency where you have to create the demand and then go through a lengthy sales process to actually close somebody that costs hundreds of dollars just to get one lead, or sometimes $1,000 just to close one single client. These kind of services or products, they're helpful, but they're definitely not a necessity. Whereas home services, they are a necessity. You need an electrician to fix the electrical work at your house. You need a plumber so your toilet works. You need someone to cut the lawn because if you don't, it's going to be 6 feet tall and you're going to get in trouble. You might get a ticket. You might get neighbors complaining. These kind of in-person services are a need. They have demand and they are recession-proof. So the niche I decided to lock into was lawn care. I had some previous experience in it. I knew you could set it up on a subscription plan, so it checked all the boxes and requirements needed to pick a niche. So the next thing I needed to figure out was where to actually operate the business. But in theory, the sky's the limit because this business model is fully remote, so you can operate it wherever you'd like. I did some market research using Google and found out that there's actually decent demand for lawn care in the city I lived in, so that's the option I chose to go with. Low competition, could get clients for super cheap, high demand, it hit all the boxes once again. So lawn care in my city, that's what I decided to go with. Once I knew exactly what services I was going to offer, I had to build out the brand. I started with the company name. The first thing I did is double check to make sure the URL was available, so mycompanyname.com. I'm not a branding expert by any means. I don't really have any branding skills, so I used the tools that I knew I had. I used a free AI logo generator I found on Google to create my company's logo. It gave me a ton of different variations, different color schemes, different sizes, different options, so I just chose my favorites. And that was it. I picked my niche, I knew where I was doing it, and I had my branding all set up. I had a war coming though, with a business owner's worst nightmare. How the hell do I get some clients? The majority of the second week, I was researching tons and testing out different kinds of marketing methods. I tried door-to-door flyers. I tried doing cold outreach. I tried everything I could possibly think of that would get me clients for free. And they kind of worked, but not at the scale I wanted to take this. I got a few leads from the flyers like weeks later, but as for instant results, I got nothing. So I had to transition into something new. I was very scared of doing paid ads at first because it costs money, and I knew if I put money in and didn't get money out, I'd be screwed. I'd have nothing left. I didn't have a high budget. I was a delivery driver. You're investing your hard-earned money into something you don't know if you'll actually get results from. It's scary. But once I started to watch some tutorials on YouTube, once I started to do it myself, it wasn't all that bad. There was some complications I ran into, but nothing I couldn't figure out with a quick YouTube tutorial. So I set up my first Google Ads paid campaign. And within the first 24 hours of launch of the campaign, my first lead finally came in. Getting the clients was one thing, and now getting them service is a completely other thing. I didn't want to go in person to give them a quote. I didn't want to go in person, buy equipment, actually service the clients myself. It was beyond stressful when the first lead came in, but I knew if I could just find that proof of concept, get one closed deal, and make a little bit of profit, this had very high potential. One piece of proof, and I knew I could take it to 6 figures a month. No problem. I just needed one. So the third step is figuring out how to actually operate this business. Once the leads started to come in, this is the workflow I set out for myself. I get a lead, I give that lead a quote. I call and follow up with that lead until they say, yes, I want to go forward with your service, bug them to no end. And then I reach out to another company and I get that client serviced. But the first problem I ran into was, what do I quote these clients at? And how do I even go about doing that? Well, when I was doing the research part, figuring out what niche I should get into, I also stumbled across a ton of different lawn care websites, and a lot of them had front-facing pricing. So I knew exactly what they were charging for how many square feet right there on the front of their website. So I took all those numbers down from the websites I saw, and I decided to price myself on the medium to high end. So not the most expensive, not the industry standard, but a little bit of a premium service. Then I needed to figure out how to actually convince these clients to go with me, to close clients, right? I'm charging somewhat premium prices. So why would they go with me over someone who can do it for much cheaper? Well, you see, I found another thing when I was researching. I called a few different lawn care companies to give me quotes for the ones who didn't have the front-facing pricing on their websites. And I found it was really difficult to get in contact with these guys, like extremely difficult. Sometimes I would have to wait a few days just to hear back from them. So I decided the way I'm going to set myself apart from these other companies, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to reply. I'm going to be a nice guy, because for the people who did answer, they were a bit of a hard ass. Out there on the field, construction laborer type of personality. Don't mean to stereotype, but that's just the best way I could explain it. And so if I could offer them friendly customer service and quick response times, I knew that maybe this would be the differentiator. Maybe this would help me stand out and actually close more leads than my competitors, even at a higher price. So with the first lead I got, I followed all the steps I laid out, and the very first lead was a close. I had a 100% close rate on my first lead, but now I had to worry about getting them serviced, which I had not put in place yet. When I say I closed the client, I mean I literally got payment up front. It was kind of scary having someone's money, them expecting a service, and me having no way to deliver on that service. But when I got that payment, it gave me the vision of like, oh my gosh, I could be working remote. I could be living that lifestyle that everyone dreams of living. And so it just put me in an overdrive, and I was going to do whatever it took to get that client serviced. So I picked up the phone and I started dialing a bunch of local lawn care companies, asked them, hey, could you service a client for me? Hey, could you service a client for me? And so one of them picked up, agreed to service the client, and agreed to do it at a 50% revenue split. So whatever I charged the client, he was only going to keep half. I think I ended up charging the client around $60. The service provider took $30, and it only took me $20 worth of marketing to secure that client. So I got $60 of revenue, minus $30 for the labor, minus $20 for the marketing, and I was $10 up. I was in the green. This was wonderful to me. This is all I needed. Keep in mind, I signed this client up for a bi-weekly subscription plan. So every 2 weeks for servicing them. So yeah, I only made $10 profit off that first visit, but I was about to make $30 profit every 2 weeks with this client for the rest of the season. $60 profit per month from one client, times that by 100 clients, I'm making $6,000 a month fully remote. But to manage 100 clients a month is not easy. I needed some sort of software. So I found the software, it's called Jobber, signed up for it, made it super easy to keep track of all my clients, keep track of all the quotes, invoice, everything. I knew this was the exact tool I needed to scale to making $500 a day, 365 days a year. But there are so many ways to mess all of these steps up, whether it's picking the niche, getting clients in the marketing side of things, or just getting them service and making your profits. Over the first year of operating my business, I probably wasted over $50,000 on garbage that I did not need to spend. That's why I put together this last section for those of you who are going to take action this year. Listen up. What I'm about to tell you could be the difference between you losing all of your money investing into this business or generating over $15,000 a month in passive income, month after month after month after month. The first thing I want to talk about messing up is the setup, which is picking your niche, picking your location, picking your branding. So I tried to recreate this business, and I've done it over 50 times with people all over the world. And I found one thing that always goes wrong is picking the wrong location. You really need to make sure you're setting up in a market that's not going to be too competitive, not going to have a low population, and actually operating this in a city that it's going to thrive in. So make sure you do the market research and you find the place that this is going to work in, because if you don't, it could be a make or break for your business. The next step is setting up the marketing. This is where anyone's going to lose the most amount of money probably, because if you're dumping hundreds or thousands in every single month and you're not getting a return, then what's the point of even running a business? And make sure when you're setting up your marketing, you watch a detailed tutorial. You can check the one out on my page or get someone else to do it for you. There are plenty of affordable marketing managers out there. I'm one of them. So if you want to book in with me, get my marketing services, whether it's for this business or another one, you can book a call with me with the link in my description. Just make sure whatever route you take, you put a lot of attention into detail, into setting this up right, and you don't just set up a paid marketing campaign and ignore it. You want to keep giving it your constant attention, optimizing it, and making sure you're making money. And if you're not, you got to pause pause it and really reassess. Did you set up in the wrong location, or is your ad campaign just terrible? Now, the last one, and perhaps this is where I lost the most money, is going to be the outsourcer or the other company you're hiring to get the work done. If you hire someone who's not going to show up, not going to do a good job, and overall just piss off your clients, clients will be canceling, clients will not stay on the subscription plan, which means no passive income for you. And it's just going to be a headache and take you a lot more time than you really want to put into this business. The other side of outsourcing is making sure that they agree to a good price point. I've worked with tons of clients on this, and one of the biggest problems is they're getting their outsourcer for a very high price. The other thing you can mess up with outsourcing is the price you're paying them. I've worked with over 50 clients, and I find one of the common themes, especially when people try to start this up without my help, is they're securing someone for a very low profit margin. So they're only keeping 20 or 30% for themselves, when no matter what niche you're getting into, you need to be securing this at 50 to 70% margins, right? So just make sure whoever you hire does a good job and they do it for cheap. Those are the most important things. Lastly, I want to tell you what are the 3 best niches to get into, or the 3 only niches you can really get into with this business model: lawn care, snow removal, or house cleaning. House cleaning or commercial cleaning, really, any kind of cleaning service. You can set either one of these up on a subscription plan. And with any of these industries, by the way, you'll get some people coming to you for one-off jobs. Don't turn down one-off jobs. Just because they don't want to sign up on a subscription doesn't mean you can't service them and make a few $100 right then and there. Subscriptions are obviously better. You get people better rates for them to sign up for a longer term, but one-off jobs work great, and you can still get this going even if it's not a subscription. It's just the end goal, right? 100 clients on a subscription, you know, making $5,000 to $50,000 a month passively, not having to do too much work. That is the goal. Even though I had all these mistakes and I had to learn the hard way, I still came out on top in the end. This is single-handedly the reason why I was able to pay myself $250,000 salary in my early 20s. Let me go through some of the results I got. In my first month operating this business, I made $30,000 worth of revenue. In my first year operating this business, I made $500,000 worth of revenue. And in my recent year, I broke over $1 million worth of revenue. Some of my clients' experiences, I have a handful of clients that have made close to or almost $10,000 in their first month with revenue. The clients who have been with me longest have hit $100,000 revenue goals. And if you guys wanted to work on something like this with me, click the link in my description. I can help you start this business from A to Z, ensuring you're profitable the entire way through. But all the numbers I just shared there are how much revenue I've made. A common question I get is how much of that is profit? And what does the time management or time commitment look like when you're operating a business at this scale? In terms of profit versus revenue, I find about 40% of what I make in revenue is profit. So about 50% goes to labor. The other 10% might go to overhead or marketing or whatever it took to get those clients in, right? For the overhead costs, we pay maybe a couple $1,000s. That's for all our subscriptions, softwares, and a VA who manages the entire business. They do everything for us. I haven't looked at one of my businesses in probably like 2 or 3 weeks now. I might keep an eye out. If someone has a question, I'll answer it. But for the most part, this is almost fully automated. A good reference point for marketing on how much you're going to put in and how much you're going to get out. I put in $15,000 over a 60-day period. I locked in over 100 clients on a 6 or 7 month contract, and that generated me about $500,000 worth of revenue. So I put in $15K, I got $500,000 back out, and about 50% of that was gross profit. Now, the time commitment for someone who's not automating this business and doesn't have a VA in place, you're looking at around an hour a day. It all depends how much money you put into ads. So the more money you put into ads, the more leads you get, the more work there is for you. But assuming you're only dropping $1,000 to $3,000 a month on ads, you're probably only going to be working an hour a day, just managing everything, making sure everything's good, following up with leads, that kind of thing. One of the major factors to getting these kind of results that I did, outside of just making sure your clients are being serviced properly, is the marketing campaign. You have to set it up properly so you're going to see a positive return on your investment. But most people, they don't know how to set up a marketing campaign. I've been in marketing for over half a decade now, and I have a proven strategy so you can see positive results right off the bat, even if you're just a beginner. So check out the video on the screen where you'll learn exactly step by step how I set up my marketing campaigns. You can copy and paste from my business to yours so you can scale to $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 plus every single month in profits.